To my dearest one, I've recently been stationed at the WWII Naval Base in England. We first took a French liner, taken over by the British, to Scotland, and then took a train on to England. On the boat we were fed twice a day, 10,000 soldiers sharing meals and good company. A welcome distraction from the usual death and destruction that has become so routine. Just imagine the lines to the ice cream and candy shops, which opened in the afternoon. It's amazing to taste candy after going so long without much of anything. Here in England, we're to fly sub-patrol every fourth day for 10 to 11 hours, sun up to sunset with a debriefing afterwards. The mornings we fly, we're treated to large breakfasts, eggs and such, and upon our return to steak dinners in the officers' mess. A few days ago, I visited London in hopes of seeing King George. We go way back. They say he's remained at Buckingham Palace, even though it's been bombed 9 times. I've always wanted to see the tourist attractions of London. My excitement was equaled by the sadness of the destruction of this once beautiful city. I was on my way back to a pottery when I met up with my friend Frank Gleason. He introduced me to his commanding officer, who talked about the time he saw Hitler in Germany. He said the crowd acted like he was Bob Hope, the comedian, screaming and cheering and asking for autographs. But there's no humor in Hitler's Germany. While we were chatting, the air raid siren sounded, and we ran to a nearby hospital for shelter. Everybody had to go down to the basement for protection. German unmanned V-bombs were hitting the city. In the basement, Frank's commanding officer continued with his story. After a while, Frank said something very interesting about Bob Hope that he didn't have a chance to say earlier due to the bombs. Frank was grounded a little while back because he had pneumonia and was unable to navigate. Well grounded, would you believe he was assigned as Bob Hope's driver? He spoke very modestly about it, not wanting to brag, but I could tell how pleased he was. We were in the basement until the next morning. We finally left to find breakfast in the hotel restaurant. It seems I'm always hungry, for I've mentioned food about 5 times now. I was astonished when I looked outside. The streets were flattened. Almost everything I saw the previous night was gone. While we were eating, Frank remembered a telegram he had received at his base the day before. He hadn't read it yet, so he took it out to read. There was both good news and bad. His wife had given birth. The bad news? Twins, a boy and a girl. With the strain of war in the current economy, Frank passed out. I called for a medic, but couldn't explain what had happened because I was laughing so hard at the sight of this big, tough man whose face-down German soldiers rendered unconscious by a telegram. I continued to read on. It explained that with a toddler already, little Ruth, and now 2 infants, Frank's sister refused to allow Doris and the children to return to her home. They are now staying with Doris's sister Ruth Hume in Tilsonburg. Please check in on them when you can. Doris is the one who sings on the radio. You'll have heard her. When Frank regained consciousness, I told him the remainder of the letter, and he passed out again, so I ate the rest of his bacon and ordered him a scotch. There I go mentioning food again. I've heard distressing news about Cousin Leon. It seems he's MIA. Knowing how tough he is, I haven't given up hope. The waiting must be terrible for Marie and the kids. Please let her know I'm making inquiries. Tomorrow we're scheduled to fly sub-patrol over Lime Bay, so I have to get some rest. Hopefully the fog will clear before then. The last time it was so thick, we diverted to Weston's Oiland for an emergency landing and had to walk in our flight suits and boots a mile into town for food. Now I've mentioned food 7 times. Keep me in your prayers as I keep you in mine. I'll love you forever. Hope to see you soon as always. Your devoted husband, Corbin, Y.M. Sears.